Good morning, YouTube. Jalopnik readers, they're up in arms. What does that mean, up in arms?
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought it as I was saying it, but they are up in arms. And posted an article and a lot of angry comments about this dealership asking almost $6,000 for one of the worst used cars I've ever seen by Lawrence Hodge. And it is a 2011 Ford Focus, and oh my God, yeah, it's bad.
It's bad.
It is rusted to heck.
Now, wait, can I ask you about rust? Like, if there's just a tiny bit of rust, is the car just gone, ruined, because it's going to start eating it all the way? Or is it fixable?
The big problem when you see rust like this on a car, this is the 2011 Focus, rusting in all the normal lower places. The biggest risk is the brake lines and the fuel lines that run underneath the car. They're usually exposed to the elements. Brake lines especially, they'll go bad. One day you'll hit the brakes, mushy, goes to the floor, and you lose your brakes. So when you see a lot of rust like that, that's one big thing to be scared of. Same with suspension components, where all the shocks, bumping into these shock towers. You see rust on the body, those towers can start to go as well and go through, and then your suspension collapses and you've got a full-out hoopty. Rarely do you see, like back in the day, of like frames rotting to where like a car goes up on the lift and falls over. Like Toyota had a recall for their rusty frames where that would happen. You don't see that with unibody cars, but you do see the suspension failures and brake failures, that kind of stuff. So
how can they justify selling this for
$6,000? Really, really bad. Yeah, I'm curious where it's at, because this reminds me of when I go to Chicago or Wisconsin to visit your parents, and I see cars with holes in them like this, and just like, oh my God! I don't see that in Kansas. We're right at the border of like rust, crap, and non-rust. So I go up to where cars are really exposed to salt and cold weather and all that stuff, and it is unbelievable the stuff that's still on the road.
Great to see how shocked you are, because it's constantly like, oh my gosh, like you're gonna have a meltdown every time we go to Chicago, because all the cars, or not all the cars, but tons of the cars are completely rusted out, and there's really nothing you can do about it. It's just gonna start happening if you live in Chicago.
Right, so this was at Spur Chevrolet in Brockport, New York. So another place very much in the Rust Belt. It has 138,000 miles. And it is a $500,000 junk car that they want $6,000 for.
Did you say $500,000?
Oh, $500 or $1,000, yes. There was another one that I felt like was even worse that I saved lately. This one, 2002 Chevrolet 1500 extended cab. They want $99.99 for it, and you can see it is beat to heck.
Who would do that?
Big old dent down the side. It's not rusty though. Okay. But they want 10 grand for somebody's rattle can black truck that's been in multiple accidents. And 283,000 miles. They want 10 grand for it.
What? That's crazy.
Seems like a massive ripoff, doesn't it?
Okay, yeah.
Like, are you up in arms like everybody on Jalopnik? Because the comments are like, because the comments are pretty brutal on this dealership. They're like, wow, pretty shameful that a dealer would even associate their name with a car in such condition.
I mean, it's true. You can't have a car like that on your lot, right?
It does look really bad. Now, they probably have these things sitting in the back.
Does it look like it?
Yeah.
Raccoon,
Yeah, it looks like a raccoon made a family in the trunk or whatever. Yeah, very, very bad shape. But it's being sold as is. No, you even have to bring your own air for the tires.
I mean, this is a car that you just give away because you don't want it to just rot on your lot.
Right. Is this a weird publicity stunt or incompetent dealership? Either one seems plausible to me. Somebody suggesting buying a Jaguar instead of 2001 XJ8, which is a terrible idea. But yeah, a lot of the comments are just really brutal towards this dealership. They're just saying, no, how dare they inflict some damage on somebody like this? Like how dare they even offer it to the public, let alone for that insane of a price? And it reminds me of something a few years ago where this girl posted about buying a Dodge Neon, 221,000 miles. She got it for $399 a month with 6.7% interest for 72 months. You can see faded paint neon on a donut. There she is a few years ago when people were in masks with her kid.
What?
And it went viral. Like absolutely viral. I think she needed help fixing it and that kind of stuff. Eventually started an OnlyFans, I think, because of this thing that went so viral. Because of course you do. That's what you do when you go viral.
You didn't do that, did you? I'm still waiting.
But a lot of people were bashing the dealer.
Right, of course. They're taking advantage of people. Absolutely. Come on. Would you do that if someone came with their child a female came to buy a car and you'd be like, here, I'm going to charge you 10 grand for this rust bucket?
So let's see. $399 a month times 72. What is that? That is $28,728.
What is happening?
That's what they ended up paying. So here's why I'm not offended by it.
Oh my gosh, this better be good.
I was a car dealer for a long time, worked for car dealerships, a decade plus in the car business. These people that buy these cars will never, ever actually pay that full amount. They will never make the full payments to the end of the term. Not only that, but they're buying this car because they have done this 2, 3, 4, 5.
Doesn't it mess up their credit?
That's the thing. Their credit is absolutely destroyed because everything they buy on credit and don't pay for it. So they just never make the payment. And they have all these collections, all these bills against them. And I get that it's really hard to get ahead these days with inflation and the lower wages not keeping up with all that stuff. But still, they're making really, really bad financial decisions. And there's really no way out for some of them once they've got themselves that buried, that they just take whatever deal, whoever's willing to give them a loan. You can sell me a Dodge Neon for $1 million. That's fine. As long as the payment's $200 a month, or really it doesn't matter because I can give you a down payment of whatever you probably paid for the car. So the Neon in that case, they probably paid $500 for the car.
Sure.
And $500 down, they got their money back. Whatever payment she makes is profit. So if $400 a month, if she makes a payment for 3 or 4 months, they've made $1,500, and then the car breaks and she just forgets about it, leaves on the side of the road. They have to deal with it, all that stuff. They've made their money, and that's how these buy here, pay here's work.
You've sold people like super hoopties, and you know that they're just not going to pay for it. It's going to get repossessed eventually.
Well, no, I never did that, but you can see why a dealer would. Like that rusty $6,000 Focus. Somebody comes in. There is literally no car on the lot for them that they could qualify for with all their bad credit, all their repos and everything. But we took this trade on for $500. If they put $1,000 down on this Focus, at least they have wheels to get to work. We've made $500. Hey, they actually made a couple of payments. Who would have thought we're actually starting to make a little bit of money? But then 3, 6 months, the car craps out. And then they just do it all over again.
Is there a way to fix this particular car? Or is it just completely long gone?
What do you mean? That rusty Focus?
Yeah.
That Chevy Silverado? No.
There's
no.
Nothing
Although the
you
Silverado would probably keep running just because it's not rusty and so good. But that's why you see when you go to most lower end car dealership, used car dealerships, the prices aren't on the window. And when you ask for a price, let's say you're going and looking for a cheap car, and you're asking for the cash price. Like you don't want to drive a Bronco anymore, you just want to get some $5,000 beater, and you go to this lot where it looks like they're a bunch of $5,000 beater cars, and you ask, well, how much is this? They don't know what to say because it's like it's a payment. Like what payment do you want? So it's hard to find a dealership that actually posts their prices online for this reason. Because it looks really stupid when they put it in writing how much they're actually getting for the car, because the payments are only going to be $200, $300, $400, $500 a month.
Well, I always felt that was scammy when you go to buy a car and they're like, well, what kind of payment do you want? What kind of payment are you looking at? I'm like, I just want to know the price of the car. Like I don't need to know the payment because I feel like they can fudge the numbers to make the payment whatever I say it is, and they'll still rip me off.
But for most people, unfortunately, they don't shop that way. That's how they shop, based on payment, especially when they're buying cheaper, older cars, and that's where a lot of these wind up. So, like, kudos to this lot here in town, because I was really looking hard to find an example of these crazy prices, but most of them just say call for price, because it is totally calling, like, what's your credit? Here's your payment. Like, here, when you go do all the paperwork, you'll see the bottom line price, but really we're getting you on $400 a month for 60 months on something cheap. But you can see Drive Down Wichita, I think it used to be Payday Motors. They have their prices. So like a 289,000 mile Tahoe for $59.95. 2006 Mercury Grand Marquis. These are ancient vehicles. 146,000 miles, $9,500. Once again, these are something that they would buy at auction for $1,000, $2,000 at most. And I know this dealership actually does go through and recondition their cars to where they're mechanically sound and not total junk. But that person that walks on the lot, that down payment is usually what they paid for the vehicle, to where they're made whole on the down payment.
Interesting. Okay.
And then whatever they get when they drive off, like this $9,500 for a 2006 Grand Marquis, that should be a $3,000 car.
Sure.
Because it's more than double.
Yeah.
2013 Accent, $99,995. 2007 Honda Civic with 179,000 miles, $10 grand.
What?
177,000 mile 2008 Chrysler 300 Touring, $99,995. Well, once again, these are all like sub $3,000 wholesale cars, usually sub $2,000 wholesale cars. So they can get that down payment of $1,000 to $2,000 and not have any risk as far as the payments being the profit.
Like you're setting people up for failure, though, right?
The thing is, most likely they are going to fail anyway. So
Yeah.
I get it. You could say, okay, sell them the car for $5,000.
Right.
Let's say you double your money. You bought this car for $2,500. Get that $2,500 down and sell it for $5,000.
Sure.
Okay. Let's say you do that, but 1 out of 10 people are actually going to be able to make the payments to the end.
Right.
So then your business is losing money.
Sure.
Losing a ton of money because 1 out of 10 people are actually going to see that payment through to the end. And I get that these dealerships are making crazy, crazy money on the backs of people that are struggling. But in my experience as a car dealer, every time that I helped somebody out, because I wasn't a buy here, pay here,
Right.
I would get a cheap trade-in that I got for $500 to $1,000, or something that I got at auction at cheap that's, sub $5,000. And I would float somebody a little bit of it.
Right.
Never once did I get paid. Ever.
Ever?
Ever. Ever. I did it half a dozen times. Never saw.
Nothing.
The worst one that I can recall was a van that I took on trade for $1,000, like a
Yeah.
Chevy Venture. Ran and drove, and this woman came in. She's a teacher working at a school. She showed me her pay stub, like a public school teacher. Had a special needs son. She's like, I need something to get from A to B.
Sure.
You want $2 grand for this van? I was trying to double my money on
Yeah.
it. Like, I'll do that, but I need to make payments. And I said, well, I need at least $1,000 down. Sure, no problem. She writes me a check for $1,000,
Right.
and then we work it out for $300 over 4 months or something like
Sure.
that. Her $1,000 check that she drove off with the car, it bounced.
Yeah. I would assume, perhaps,
Right
that
off
would
the bat.
happen, right?
I called her, hey, your check bounced.
Right.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me come back. So a week or 2 weeks later, she comes and gives me $500 and says, I'll come back tomorrow and have the rest of the money. Then she calls and says, oh, the car broke down. It doesn't
Yeah.
work anymore. I'm going to get it fixed, but I can't pay you because I
Right.
have to fix the van. I saw her driving the thing around. Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
that far from me. Of course, I saw her driving around. So I said, I just saw you driving the van. It's working. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, it's the check engine light. I still need to get it fixed.
Oh. Well, I mean, there's some people that are professional scammers and some people that actually need help. And maybe, who knows which one she was, but just give her the car. Come on.
So, yeah, it came to the 30-day point where I was required by law, basically, to give her the title. And either I can give her the title and write a lien on it, go through the repo process and all that stuff, or, or just give her the title and just
Yeah.
whatever. So I think what I did with her at the end, I said, I tell you what, because you only give me $500. I was
Right.
like, just bring another $500
Right.
by this day, and it is free and clear. It is yours.
Right.
If not, I am going to go through all the trouble of repossessing it.
Yeah.
And she brought the $500 to her credit. So that was, but usually it was a small amount, like, hey, okay, I have this, but I need the extra $1,000 float, and I would give them the 30 days between, like, because I have to pay sales tax and the title and all that stuff. I'd give them the 30 days. They'd never be able to do it, and so then you'd have, like, there's this awkward moment where I have to give them the title even though they haven't paid me, and it's just, so, yeah, there you go.
There's moral dilemmas in car dealerships.
They call it credit rats. And that is what these lots, and that is what that Ford Focus is being catered towards, is credit rats who have no intention of paying $6,000, paying the term. They never will. So don't get offended like they're screwing people over. They're trying to screw each other over. It's a very mutual thing where this is happening. And if you're an informed buyer, obviously you're not going and paying 10 grand for a Chrysler 300 with 177,000 miles anyway. So
Sure. Well, I always wondered what those kind of derelict type of lots were doing. How do they make money? And, well, now I know.
Yes. It's a tough living. I wouldn't want to do it. Like, and then having to go get it repoed and risk getting shot and all
You
that
have
stuff.
to have like a cold, ice cold heart to be one of those car dealers, which I guess you were. Oh, no.
Not really. Thank you so much for watching. I think I got out with my soul intact.
I hope so.